it might work now. So we'll find out because that's that. Is, and we're learning. And that's that. That's that. Yep. All right, we're good. Cool. Yay. We don't need it. Awesome.
I think I did it, but now I don't have it. There we go.
All right. So guest number 2 today. It's a day of numbers, and I have the privilege and honor of talking to Miss Meaghan Likes. And I was telling Dan, I'm trying to get 1% better every day with this. And I got some stuff on the background now, so it's not just a white wall, and some books, so I look like I'm smart because I think that's what people think when they see books. I've got my journal that I bought in Italy with the kids. Words in it. I actually penned and inked it. I can't read it, but I wrote it. So I'm excited about that. So we got Meaghan Likes, world traveler, multiple business owner, speaker, mentor, coach, wife, dog owner. And then you guys bought the house or just rented the house?
We bought a house.
Oh yeah, so yeah, new homeowner. That's what I thought.
I'm a half grown up, but I just realized yesterday how much of a non-grown up I am. So I don't think I'm like a grown up in training. That's what I've decided.
Well, you got to start somewhere though.
Yeah, exactly.
And what better than the age of 32? So you're doing good.
Oh, I love you. 32. Good age.
So how are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Excited for what you're doing.
I am too, and nervous, obviously. And yesterday you made a comment that this is a podcast, but is it a podcast or is it just still Facebook Live?
Sorry, you made a custom StreamYard overlay. That feels very legit to me. It says JC, CEO, speaker, coach, father. That looks very legit. There is a scrolly thing that has my name across the bottom. That is
with Wonder Woman. I'm getting crafty. And then Alex, my VA, she's been awesome. How were the questions that she asked? Do you see all the emails?
It's funny because I replied the same as Dan. I said, I wanted to talk about long walks on the beach and what happens when I lose all my hair. Like, when do we do it? That's really weird that I said the same things as him.
Well, I am excited to be here. I think you're 3 hours behind me right now, so thank you for getting up. And
it is technically the middle of the night, and I did set like 6 alarms for you today. At least 6, maybe 8.
I was gonna Amazon Prime an alarm clock to you, but I didn't think it'd be there in time.
Okay, to go back for anybody who doesn't know, I missed a very important podcast for the first time. So today is the 3-year anniversary of Fight Club. We started going live 3 years ago today. So
that's incredible.
3 years, I overslept on your day.
And we just talked the night before, I believe.
We did. We talked, but oh, I'm sorry. I got nothing.
I was like, she set me up and then doesn't even show up.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'll forgive you. But you're here today.
Liz and I have been conspiring on ways that I can get you to forgive me. We're gonna come up with a way. Like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Well, I accept you being here
on a Thursday. Like, this is my first gesture.
I thank you, and I'm honored. So, yes, welcome. Still don't know what we're doing, but we're trying to get organized about here. And I got a bunch of questions for you, but I don't know if I want to go through the questions. But maybe we'll start off with one because something that I'm trying to work on right now, and something that we partially talked about the other night. But for the audience and everybody listening who's trying to work on their speaking career and those type of engagements, is what is your best piece of advice to keep an audience engaged when you're doing these talks? Because, I mean, you talk things real nerdy, some things that people don't want to hear about, but you got to keep them excited about. And you do a great job. I mean, I saw you at Responsicon, and it was fun. Like, you had the largest crowd there every single day for every single session you did there. And it wasn't because you were talking numbers. It was the way you're presenting it. So what is your number one secret, trick, hack?
Oh man, I'm slightly offended. You don't think they're there for the numbers? Like, my whole mission in life. Like, I say that my goal is that when I die, which we're all going to die, and I like to talk about death. When I die, I'm going to have improved the entrepreneurial failure rate. So they say right now, like 75% of businesses fail in the first 15 years. And I'm on this mission to like lower that number. That's what I want to do. So when I give these talks, I'm hoping that they're all there because they like are on that mission with me. They want to do that with me. But maybe not. Maybe that's being naive. In terms of engaging an audience, I had to take myself out of it because I was too nervous. So like the first time I'd gone on stage, I'd be very shaky. My voice would shake, my body would shake. It was like that for maybe the whole first year, every time I got on stage. And it just kept showing up. And somebody told me once, they're like, Meaghan, why are you being such a narcissist? This has nothing to do with you. Like you being on that stage has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. Like, what are you there for? Why are you taking time out of your life to like show up, to fly somewhere, to get brave? What's the point? And when I started thinking about, like the Simon Sinek, my why, like why was I in front of that audience? And well, because I want them to not fail in business, right? I want them to keep doing the thing they love. Then the fear kind of went away and the jitters went away. And then it got fun because as entrepreneurs, I think we love to iterate. Well, we also like to burn things down, right? But we also like to make things better. Like, oh, if I do this you said 1% better, right? If I make this one change, then it'll be different. So when I started thinking about, well, what can I do to get them to hear me? Or what can I do to get them to learn from me? What can I do to get them to see it this way? It got really fun. And so you and I got to talk before your Clipicon talk about some strategies that you could do to like engage the audience early. If you've ever been in my audience, it's all just a scam. Like I have thought of like every laugh and every pause and every joke, and I front load things because I want you to trust me early. And it's because it's about you. Like if you've taken the hour out of your life to listen to me, I want to make it worth your while. I don't think I'll ever be a motivational speaker because my parents are both teachers. So I feel like that's kind of what I do is I teach from the stage. My mom, I should have been like the third generation teacher in my family and I wasn't. So now I'm like trying to make up for it by doing that all across the world. And I hope that if you've ever listened to me that you've gotten at least one takeaway that's made a difference in your life. And I love hearing those. So if you send them to me, that feeds my soul because that means that I did something. That means I did something good. I did something better.
That's awesome. So you're saying you're not a motivational speaker, but you consider yourself a teacher? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
But okay. All right.
Right. When I put it in that context, I'm like, yeah, I'm there to, and my parents are both teachers. So they were my biggest critic those first couple of years. Like my dad would talk about my voice. He's like, you're a woman talking to men. You can't be squeaky. You gotta tone it down. You're gonna hurt their ears. My mom says like, nobody can pay attention for anything for more than 7 minutes consecutively. So you have to change gears every 7 minutes. And entrepreneurs, I think it's like every 3. We got to change gears every 3. I got to move real fast. Otherwise, you're going to be asleep and under the table. They've taught me all their like classroom hacks of like if you've ever played a game with me from this stage, that's come from like a 5th grade or an 8th grade classroom. I'm a teacher.
Love it. Yeah. And were you there when Michael Burnoff was at BBB?
I wasn't, but several people sent me the recording.
Oh my God. Like the way he delivered that speech, it was like, first it's like, why can't you stay on topic? And then he would just jump from topic to topic, but then go back to the topic. And it's like, well, I want you to finish that story. But then he like start off like some of the educational part. Then he go back to the story about hockey. And we're like, what is he doing? And then it comes out, that's the whole purpose just to keep him engaged and wanting more instead of just going like, this is numbers and this is what we're going to talk about for 35 minutes. So yeah, keep it fun, keep them engaged, keep them guessing too. Like they want to be like leaned in, right? Listening to you. What's coming next? What's the next story?
That's something you and I talked about. It's like, pay attention to their body language. Like when you have them, they're going to show you. And when you don't have them, they're going to show you. Like, and I make it a mission every time I'm in a room. And I've always got like a bunch of these grumpy old men who are like, I can't learn from her. I don't like her. I don't like her. I don't like how she looks or how she talks or what she thinks or whatever it is. And I make it a mission to win them over. And I almost always do. Like, even if I have to just zero in on that person and I'm going to talk to them for the rest of the hour, I will get them to uncross their arms and like lean in just a tad, just a little bit.
So Jeremy Brooks says he's witnessed you, and I guess in the beginning, you were shaking on stage and he thought you were breakdancing.
Is it Jeremy Brooks with an S or no S?
No S.
Oh,
Jeremy
okay.
Brooks.
Brooks with an S really witnessed me my first time here in Davis, and I was like trembling like a leaf. Jeremy Brooks with no S calls me a gangster. I think that's what he thinks I am, or that's what he thinks I am.
So how do you overcome that though? Like you're on stage, you're nervous, you're not getting the engagement from the crowd that you're hoping for. and you still got to deliver the speech. You can't just run off stage and go hide like a high school talent competition. So, what are the things you do to overcome that challenge?
You just keep going. You just keep going, and you keep thinking about why am I here? Like, what is the point of this talk? I feel like so many people get on this stage because they have a little bit of an ego and they like want to be on a stage. And then that's the bad talks, right? Because everybody's lost. Like, you should not be questioning where I'm going in the middle of my talk. You should know exactly where I'm going and exactly where I'm taking you. And I'm going to like very, very like sneakily influence you, but you should not feel manipulated. You should be enjoying like every minute of that. And so as the speaker, when I've got an entire, because I've been in rooms like you said that in Moab, right? Like where I don't know a single soul and I'm having to speak to them. It's a cold audience. And I look different than most of my audiences, right? Like I think different. I always start it with like, I'm a raging hippie from California, right? I'm a tree hugging hippie from California. They are not, they're like predisposed to not liking what I'm about to say. And it's about numbers, right? Like that's not sexy. Nobody wants to talk about numbers. Like that's
Unless you're Dan Plata. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Even Dan wanted to talk about long walks on the beach, I feel like, or running or something. No, but numbers aren't fun. And so we're trying to figure out like how do I speak their language and how do I talk to them? And I gave a really probably one of my best talks at GutterCon this year. And I started, my opening line was, what happens if you die tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole room just,
yeah.
And
Put
it just,
that fear and that emotion in them.
But then I had them, even if they didn't like me, I had them because like suddenly they could bring it back to them like, oh, we are all going to die. Oh, yeah. Crap. Do I have a plan?
Yeah.
Yes. No. Can we give a shout out for QDS?
Yeah, of course.
So we're going to be hanging out in New Orleans, May 10th through the 13th. Is that it?
Yes. The Wednesday to Saturday, Mother's Day weekend.
Right. So Quality Driven Conference is one of my favorite conferences of the whole year. And I'm bringing one of my best friends, and she is an estate planning attorney, and she's going to do succession planning. She's doing a 2-hour succession planning workshop. And so like, if you haven't thought about what happens when you die, like as business owners and somebody who thinks about it a lot and has a lot of businesses, and I have a lot of employees, like I feel like I have a lot of responsibility to set this business up correctly. I love Pat. He's the best.
Yes, and speaking of GutterCon, see, there you go. You got him motivated.
I had serious FOMO for Sales Boost, Pat. I really want to be there next year. Like, send me the dates now so I can put it on my calendar. I was in Guatemala and I was bummed to miss it.
2024. But succession planning, she'll be there. QDS.
The idea that like we have a responsibility to think about this stuff.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I mean, we can keep plugging QDS real quick because I'll be down there. You'll be down there. We got a awesome lineup with Martha and her team for New Orleans. I mean, who doesn't want to go to New Orleans? I think we're still like high humid, high heat, I hope, when we're down there. I just don't want to go just sweat all day. But looking forward to get down there, get some awesome training she got some really good speakers lined up. And then there's a masquerade ball. I've never done that. I've actually been looking at masquerade costumes and masks. I'm really excited for that one.
It's my birthday party. I mean, it's not really, but I'm saying it's my birthday party.
You gonna dress up?
Yes, absolutely. I have been shopping for my masquerade ball outfit for like months. I've always wanted to go to masquerade ball. So Martha was like, we need an after party. And she throws like the most epic after parties. Like last year at QDS, we had an 80s party. We had a luau. We had an amazing race competition. And it was like,
that's fun. That's like a scavenger hunt, right?
Yeah, but like with teams, we had like matching bandanas. Like it was like 4 hours of a scavenger hunt with a bunch of competitive business owners. It was so fun. So it's always a good time. And the masquerade ball, I'm very excited.
And then what's the thing that's where we get to go watch or marching or walking down the strip or something? Oh, we don't talk about that. All right. So let's see. We got Angela said great tips on talking about that over there. And then
since Tuesday.
My wife gets my pension and $1 million if he dies.
Well, I love that Lou, like you can see his priorities, right? His wife's taken care of. And then I'm always like, okay, but what about like your employees? What about your clients? Like,
well, and then Eric says, if I die tomorrow, Will says she'll get my credit card rewards today.
That's me. Eric, I love you. You missed it at the last VBB. I was a total buzzkill. I think I almost got kicked out of the room, or I think I kicked myself out of the room at some point because I just couldn't stop giving tax advice. But Eric and I figured out a new code, and it's just going to be earmuffs. And they're going to say earmuffs, and then I'm going to be quiet, and then I can stay in the room, and then everybody can continue their conversations.
So you were just kept injecting tax advice, or?
Yeah, kind of like, did you see that with Dan Plata? I feel bad. I like hijacked his response con presentation with tax advice. I'm not fun. We shouldn't talk about taxes. It's April. We should definitely not be talking about taxes.
Oh no, they're due like in a week or two, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we do the extensions, whatever it is. So what else is going on? You got multiple businesses that you're working with. You got Jeff Likes Windows. Jeff Likes Windows, right?
Clean windows.
Clean Windows, yes. And he is still out doing some amazing things right now.
Yeah, he's in Guatemala. He stayed. So I think that's so funny. Yesterday, he sent me a video of him like riding a palm frond down like a 20 staircase with a bunch of kids. And the day before, he was literally texting me while parasailing. And I was like, please wait till you get to the ground. Like, I was scared he's going to like FaceTime me. And he said he was in the air for over an hour.
Holy cow.
Where he is like living his best life right now. He is turning into a legit hippie, which makes me slightly concerned. He bought like a Merce and these like really big hippie pants. And I'm kind of like, wait, where did my husband go? Like, am I a cool skater guy? Like, I'm not sure. But no, he's living his best life. We haven't really talked about it publicly, but he retired in September. And so I stepped into the window cleaning business. And that's been a fun learning curve for me. So I'm almost 6 months in as CEO, and we're doing some cool stuff. Like we've got some serious growth planned, and I've got a really great team there. And the leadership that we're building, like we're building leaders now. So I feel like the first level of leadership is you're building your leadership team. And now we're like in the next level where my leadership team's building their leadership team. And they're teaching like their leadership team how to lead. And it's pretty inspiring. Like it's kind of cool to watch them, really level up. I had a conversation yesterday where I think I'm very close. So I believe that you should never have more than 3 direct reports. And I think in our window cleaning businesses, that's really hard. Like, especially if you started as an owner operator, like you're very involved with the technicians. And so I feel like I had an advantage by the time I took over. Jeff had been pretty much absentee. So they weren't used to seeing him every day. So I didn't ever have to go in every day. And I stay up here. Like I don't talk to the technicians. I don't even talk to the lead technicians. I just talk to the leadership team and I'm coaching them. And then I'm coaching them to coach their lead techs. Awesome. And then they're coaching their lead techs to help lead their techs. We're trying to build in these layers. And so now headed into busy season, we have 6 leaders in our company. And last year, that was a huge pain point for me is I can recruit techs, no problem, but building leaders who have ownership, like that was the hard part. So this year, I'm really excited that the phone's ringing again and the schedule's filling up. And we're going to just like basically double here in the next couple of weeks and just kill it this year. So
incredible. Yeah, that's, finding leaders. And that's one of the questions I had for you actually was strategies you use to identify and develop leaders within your organization. We'd like to preach that from the day they start working, we want to start teaching those skills because we don't want them waiting to think they have to be here for a year, 2 years to become a leader. They're a leader the day they start. I mean, my kids are leaders. Everybody's a leader. Everybody can be a leader, but they don't have that mindset. So once you shift that mindset and like, hey, you can be a leader. Now I'm not going to have you come in here and bark orders all day, but if you're on the job site or something or on your own, take control of yourself or take control of somebody new and show them what to do. Show them the core values, show them the things that they're supposed to be doing and lead. Don't wait for somebody to say, here's your job role. You're the lead technician, because then they're just going to wait. And if you teach them early that you can start leading now, they'll develop that and pick up all the good skills and hopefully drop off all the bad skills that they've had.
I feel like they're like, I'm working through this a little bit at Lex Accounting right now, but I feel like everybody is leading, right? Because there are like naturally leaders and followers, and maybe they're doing it on an accident and maybe they're doing a bad job of it, or maybe it's slightly toxic, right? So kind of helping people find their natural leadership style and then really looking at the people that they're leading. And like Lex Accounting, this has been a painful couple of weeks, but this idea that as the leader, you have to manage, like you have to change your style to accommodate where your reports are. It's not the other way around. Like, I think when we don't have leadership development skills, we expect everybody to change their behavior to us. Like, we want them to show up a certain way. And I'm like, no, you're the chameleon that depending on who I'm talking with, I am going to change my tone. I'm going to change my behavior. And it's always going to be dependent on where they're at right there in that moment. That's called situational leadership. And I think so often we get stuck in this rut of like, oh man, well they didn't, or, they suck, or they didn't, or like I told them. I'm like, no. Everything is your fault as the leader, and how you're going to show up for them. That's how you're going to fix it, right? You're going to have to change your behavior. You're going to have to change your schedule to accommodate them to help build them up. And if you can do that, if you can get out of that victim mentality, if you can get into that growth mindset of helping them develop, really magical things can happen. They asked me how I find them. I have two different strategies kind of playing out right now, and it's going to be really interesting how they intersect over the next couple of months. But for Jeff Likes Clean Windows, I built out an epic automated recruiting system using Hire Who, and we are plugging in Perception Predict into that Hire Who funnel. And basically, everything is done through assessments, and I'm assessing based on hardwiring. So I think people do personality assessments. I don't really care about personality assessments. I care about, like, how do they think? What are their drivers? And we've profiled now for our industry. And if you guys are interested in this, like, there's a link. I'd be happy to connect you. But we can basically profile a good technician. So if I can get enough leads, enough recruits in, I can guarantee within like a 98% success rate whether they're going to perform well as a technician. Like, it can tell me if they're going to be late. It can tell me if they're going to miss work. It can tell me what their average ticket's going to be, what their labor rate's going to be. It's just incredible. You can predict it before they even start. And then we still have a huge responsibility to, like, onboard them correctly and to, engage with them and to, build them up and bring them in the culture and not take the culture. So at Jeff Likes Clean Windows, I feel like we've got that pretty dialed in. Likes Accounting, we're trying to do it slightly differently. Still using Hire Who, but I'm using an assessment tool called AccuMax. And AccuMax isn't as robust as Perception Predict, but it's still pretty cool. This idea that people have traits, and depending on, like, their past experiences and those traits, that can predict their success in your organization, because your organization has like a DNA, and you're trying to find culture fits and you're trying to find complements. And I feel like the last thing that I've done for both of those companies is you should have an org chart, but you should have a future org chart. And then you should have a career ladder that kind of shows the people in your company how they get from, like, this little square or circle or bubble on the org chart to this one. Like and I learned everything I know about any of these things from Martha Woodward. So she like challenged me one time to do a career ladder, and I consult with 10 million plus companies now in the home service space. And when I show them my little rinky dink Jeff Likes Clean Windows stuff, they're always so impressed. I'm like, that was Martha Woodward. She told me I had to do it, so I did it.
That's incredible. Yeah, because you show them the progression, the path they can take, and it's going to inspire them to want to get to that next level instead of just like, this is my job and my only job. So, what's going next from here? I really like that. And
it's a career. It's not a job. Like, we don't give jobs at Jeff Likes Clean Windows.
Right. Yep. And that's one of the things we shifted to was we stopped saying jobs, and we want to show people they have a career, a path, a trajectory. So.
And they get to choose their destiny. Like, when you're in growth mode, like, I was working on the Likes Accounting one last night, and I feel like there's like 12 open positions at Likes Accounting right now. And that's amazing, right? Like, choose your box. Like, we're growing that fast.
So as far as the window technician, like, what's their career progression that they have there?
They can go to lead tech. They can go to quality control. They can go, because we're moving around on the org chart. Like, I think that I'm going to have a service manager position open soon. Yeah, there's I need a marketing person. Like, every now and then you'll find a technician who's like a creative type. It turns out we used to hire skateboarders because my husband's a skateboarder, and now we hire like artists.
Nice.
Which is like a weird shift. And then I love athletes. I love farmers, and I love Boy Scouts. Like, Boy Scouts are an absolute favorite of ours. And we recruit, like, in the rock climbing club, so like people who aren't afraid of heights. We
good. Yeah.
we include like rock climbing gym subscriptions at Jeff Likes Windows instead of like a normal gym subscription. Like, so my guys, they're going to the gym at work and hanging out, and I'm like, yes, more of that. That's worth
Yeah,
every.
that's a culture right there. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So speaking of earlier, we talked about you being a mentor, coach, and a role model. Who is somebody that was significant to you as a mentor, role model, and what was a huge impact they've had on you throughout your career?
Oh, that's a good one. So I chose my mentor, and I feel like you should choose your mentor. Like, you should like look at people and be like, that's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I need. I chose my mentor for my accounting company. Like right when I opened, like the first week or the second week. And he was an engineer, and he's local, and he is in my Rotary Club, and he's amazing. His name's Chuck. And Chuck had built this giant engineering firm, like giant. And what I loved about how he did it was I always saw Chuck like at every fundraiser. I always saw Chuck like with his wife. I always saw Chuck like bragging on about his kids and his grandkids. And he'd be at like every Rotary volunteering thing. And he traveled a lot, like 2 weeks a month. He was gone a lot. And one of the things he always said was like, well, I was a terrible engineer, but what I was really good at was finding good engineers. And that resonated with me because I always said I was a bad accountant. And actually, ironically, on the AccuMax profile, I am only a 10% match to be an accountant. Like, I'm a terrible accountant. I should not be an accountant, right? And I tell people all the time, most accountants hate my guts because I am like a fake accountant, just like I'm a fake adult. Whatever. I can't believe I said that a lot, but I did. So the accounting part, though, is not the important part. It's the business part. And the sooner you can get out of that technician mindset, and the sooner you can get into that like leadership role, the faster you're going to be able to build the lifestyle business that you want. So I always say, when you're looking for a mentor, look for somebody who has a life that you want, not a business that you want, because I feel like there's so many successful business people who have done that, like, at the cost of their marriage, or at the cost of their family life, or at the cost of their health. Like, I don't want somebody who's unhealthy to be my mentor. I don't want somebody who's an alcoholic to be my mentor. I don't want somebody who is, on their fourth marriage to be my mentor. Like, those things are really important to me. And I felt like when I decided to make the jump and we both became entrepreneurs, because I was in corporate CPA world for 10 years with Jeff Likes Windows. I was the paycheck person, right? And so when we both decided to jump, I was like, I am not going to sacrifice my marriage for this jump. Like, it's just not worth it. So I found somebody that could help me with that. And it's informal. Like, we meet sometimes once every 3 months, sometimes once a month. And I'll send an SOS. I sent him one last week, and I was like, okay, I need wine. Can we please meet? I've created a mess. But I say, like, if you need a mentor, just look at the big picture. Don't get distracted by the smoke and mirrors of social media, or distracted by the social, like, I don't know, the idea that they have like a 7-figure business or an 8-figure business or 10-figure business. Like, what if that's not something you want?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's that shiny object. You think that's what you want, but that's not what you need too. So you need somebody that you can align with and be able to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
So, and you need to be receptive to constructive criticism, which I seem to get a lot.
Like, is this going to work? I'm not sure. I might push them over the edge, but if I do, then I mean, it's fine.
Still here, right? Still talking.
Yeah, still showing up. Although the other day it took you like 4 hours to respond. I was like, oh, that one hurt. I'm sorry.
I might have fell asleep, but I might have ignored you too. I'm not gonna let you know.
I get ignored a lot. I'm okay with that.
That's all good. All right, so you just got back from Guatemala. What's next? Where are we going next?
Next weekend, this is kind of secret, but I guess I'm tell the Facebook. Next weekend, I'm going to Cancun. Our buddy Dom is turning 30, and so we are having a very fun weekend planned in Cancun next weekend. In 3 weeks, we're going back to Mexico. I'm going to Mexico twice this month, which is weird. We're going back to Mexico. We're going to build a house. So we're doing a trip called Baja Bound with some really cool tradespeople and some really cool humans. If you're interested, I think we still have spots left. So that's in like 3 weeks, Baja Bound. We're going to Ensenada. We will build one house in 2 days.
That's
and it is a 2-bedroom house. It is amazing. It's like one of the most empowering things I've ever done. Highlight of my, not of my life, but highlight of like last year was Lee Baker, who I always say is my smartest friend, teaching me how to use a hammer rafters while I learned how to be a roofer that weekend. Like
That's
I
incredible.
built an entire house basically with just like 6 of us, and I was like walking on cloud nine for weeks after that. So that
Is
felt
it
amazing.
still standing?
It is still standing.
Well, that's good. Nice. Lee Baker's the man. We love Lee.
Oh my gosh, she's so smart.
And then you just learned how to make concrete or
I
pour
learned
concrete?
mason last week. Yeah, like this is my life. I actually got offered a job in Guatemala as a mason foreman. Yeah, because they said I was a strong leader and I was their fastest guy. Yeah, I learned how to make mortar from scratch. I learned how to make sand. Like it never occurred to me how sand was made, but you have to sift it. And then how to make concrete. We had to do it by hand with buckets.
Labor intensive.
I think I'm still sore. I think there are muscles back here that I didn't know I had. But no, it's a fun life. We try to keep it light. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure. Like I'm not superwoman. I definitely am running a lot of businesses and a lot of balls, and a lot of people dependent on me. So playing catch up this week for sure. But I always say like that's why we do this, right? Like if you said you're going to quit your job to have this lifestyle business, then that's up to you to maintain that lifestyle business.
Absolutely. Yep. And you're doing it. You're still showing up every day and doing what you need to, even when you're out of town, out of country. So doing something right.
Well, I showed up today, so
Thank you.
I didn't that other time, but
Thank you.
time I got out of bed. So
I let that go. Don't worry.
we'll figure it out. I'll make it up to you.
All right. So so you're going to Mexico twice, Guatemala. What's been your favorite destination to go to, whether it's as the humanitarian part of you or just vacation?
My favorite vacation of all time was Iceland. And
That's one of my top 10. Yes.
oh my gosh, Jeff, it took us like 3 years to plan because we had a couple disasters at Jeff Likes Kunos. Like it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows there. Like we had to learn this stuff about being leaders. We canceled Iceland twice because of bad things that had happened at Jeff Likes Kunos. So the third time we went, Jeff had planned the whole thing and he had been pitching it the totally wrong way. He kept saying, I want to rent a camper van and like go camping across Iceland. And Jeff and I, we love to camp. We are tent campers. We camp like 30 days a year, at least in a tent. Like we love to camp. We love to be outside. We love to be in nature. We love to be unplugged, like off the grid, no cell phones, no work. But he wanted to do this in a camper van. And I was like, I don't think we like each other that much. Like I was very worried. Like we're very independent. We both like our space. And he wanted to like lock me in a camper van for 10 days. And I just did not want to do it. And I swear to this day, it is the best vacation we've ever taken. We had one reservation the entire 10 days, and it was in the Bubble Hotel on the last night. So we got to sleep in the bubble, like
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything else was unplanned, and we just wandered. And
That's awesome.
as entrepreneurs or as business people or as like an accountant, if I showed you my calendar that I'm looking at right now, which is telling me I'm technically late for something, if I looked at this calendar, like every minute is planned every day, all the time. And so this idea of being able to wander felt so good. Like if the weather was bad, we'd just keep driving. If the weather was good, we would just go see that thing. So we did that 5 years ago, and we've actually kept up the tradition since then. So every year we do at least a 1 week road trip where we don't plan anything. We don't make any reservations anywhere. We basically pack up so that we're self-sufficient. So like if we need to camp on BLM land, we can camp on BLM land. If we need water, we've got water. Like if we need food, we have dehydrated food. And we do that every year. We go on a wandering vacation. And it's so good for our soul because you just need that like creative, unstructured time, right?
Absolutely.
And also that together time. I think that that's sometimes hard to prioritize. Life gets in the way of marriage and like relationships and things. And so for us to reconnect, like being in a car is the best thing for us to do. And going on a joint adventure to someplace we've never been before, like exploring together is really fun for us.
Yeah, when I went to Italy in December, I had no plan. I had the hotel and that was it. And it was just I just show up and hop on a train, go down to Milan and just walk around. And I purposely would get lost just to see what was out there. And I'd always find my way back, obviously, but then it was just having nothing in mind, no set agenda, was just freeing. And you could just think, relax. You didn't have to worry about rushing anywhere. If you showed up, you showed up. If you went to a different place, that was fine. And I was one of my favorite times ever traveling was because there was just nothing other than do whatever you want.
Wandering, right?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of this like, I don't even know what I want most of the time. I can't even articulate what I want, right? And Jeff's doing it right now. I'm very jealous. He extended his stay unexpectedly, and he had no hotel reservations except for the first night. And like they ended up in a bit of a pickle 2 days ago because there were no hotels available because it's like a really busy week. And then yesterday he ended up in a pickle because like all the ATMs were shut down because they were having blackouts. And he's like, I'm running out of money and they can't process my credit card. And I was like, well,
Get a tent.
figure it out. But that's part of the experience. That's part of the adventure. I know so many people are like, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, I challenge you to try it, even for a weekend. Like worst thing that could possibly happen is you have to sleep in your car.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it's not freezing out or like scorching hot, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not having the agenda, not having the schedule, it takes the stress out of everything. Like, how fast do I need to get through this evolution to get to the next evolution before I'm late? We got dinner plans at 6:30, but it's 5:45 and I'm still an hour out. And just taking that stress out of the time alone together, it makes it that much more enjoyable. So
it drives all my friends crazy that are like the dinner. I never have a dinner reservation because I'm always late. It's too stressful. And I hate having hotel reservations. Like I want to just show up when I'm going to show up. And like, that is kind of how I like to, yeah, it's weird. That's also my executive assistant. She's amazing because
until you show up and it's like a 4-hour wait at the restaurant and then you can't even go in. So,
but then me, I'm like, there's probably a better restaurant on the corner that has no wait. And like, it's probably better.
Well, good stuff. All right. Last question. And speaking of food, if you could have dinner with anybody at any point period in time, you can go back. Obviously, we don't know about the future, but who would you have dinner with?
Interesting.
And more importantly, what would you eat?
Oh, that's really hard questions. So I'm going to say this and I'm going to be silly and I'm going to send a text message and make this happen. I have this obsession with this guy named John Dominy. And John Dominy is like an OG badass man who I met at the College Driven Conference many years ago. And it was one of my first talks. And he came up afterwards and he gave me all this feedback. And he was this wealth of knowledge. He had spent his career selling software around the world. And he's an older guy. I love older people because I want to learn from their experiences. Like I'd much rather learn from somebody who's already done it or who's made all the mistakes. I feel like that's better. He runs like a $5 million lawn care company out of Denver, California, Colorado. That's C1, Colorado. And he lives in Texas. And I was supposed to have dinner with him in June and I got COVID and I couldn't go. And so I'm going to reschedule that with John Dominy because he has this wealth, like this brain trust of knowledge. And I like the way his brain works. So I feel like that's who I would choose. I'm going to call my shot. And next time you see me, hopefully I'll have had dinner. I have to go to Houston, but I'll do it. And then what would I eat at a restaurant?
Well, it's your dinner.
My favorite food of all time is like my kid food. It's beef stroganoff that my mom used to make. And my mom taught Jeff how to make it when I was sick.
Nice.
It's like the white egg noodles, the cream soup, and like just steak with Worcestershire sauce. I feel like that's my favorite food. I eat that every day.
Does Jeff make it as good as mom?
He does. She like literally, because I was really sick, and so she literally came up for a week and taught him how to make all of like my favorite things. And Jeff, to this day, if I'm having a hard day or like if I'm having a hard week, he will just surprise me with beef stroganoff, and like he'll make it super cute and romantic with like candles. And yeah, I love that. That's my favorite food for sure.
Is Jeff going to be golfing in New Orleans?
Yes, I think he's golfing on Wednesday or maybe Thursday. I'm not sure, but he'll definitely be golfing.
I might have to get up with him.
Okay, yeah.
Hit some balls out there. All right, so QDS coming up in May. We'll be down there. Is John going to be down there?
John Woodward?
No, John, you're.
Oh, I don't know. I should ask him.
That might just solve half the problem right there.
Oh, problems. He went on a around the world cruise last year for like 6 months or something.
Oh my God.
And that's why he wasn't at QDS last year. But hopefully he'll be there this year.
Yeah, maybe we'll be there and you can have dinner. And then your problem solved. You don't have to worry about going to Texas.
Perfect. Love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You're awesome. I appreciate you being on time and here and present. And do you have any parting words?
Yes, this is a podcast and you should make it a real one. So
what do we call it?
Michelle, I think that's going to be your next thing. You need to do a poll. What are we going to call it?
All right. Well, that was the question here. Is this really a podcast, and what's the name? So,
I don't know what the name is, but it's definitely really a podcast. And Michelle Myers can help you hack everything you have right now to make it into a podcast very simply with Alex's help.
she's the podcast guru.
She is.
All right. I happen to know her. I was on the phone or call with her 2 weeks ago.
There you go. All right. I'm going to go to my day. It's good to see you.
Thank you for waking up to us, and we'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in May.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.